Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and folks, we are broadcasting from inside Renaissance Bank in beautiful Alpharetta. And if you're looking for a bank that is, well, they're at the top of all the surveys they seem to enter. I mean, that's what it looks like to me, because they're in the top surveys of best banks in the country, conducted by Forbes, conducted by moneymagazine.com. If that's the kind of banking experience that you'd like to find, a bank that can actually deliver on what they promise, Renaissance Bank, I think, is that bank. That's been my experience. So go to renaissancebank.com and find one of their local offices and give them a call. And I think you'll be glad you did. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Christopher Stewart. Chris is with ATL Restoration. Chris, welcome.
I appreciate it, John. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, glad to have you here. Let's talk about you and ATL Restoration. How you serving folks out there?
Let's talk about me. Where should we start? So
that's a big subject.
That's a massive subject, man. So ATL Restoration, we are a fire, water, mold remediation company.
Yeah.
We're actually a fully licensed general contractor, GC. So that means we can, it's a turnkey solution.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say unfortunate happens, a fire happens and your house facility, it burns down. We can do the full rebuild as well.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit about me. I am proud to say that I served in the United States Marine Corps. And I am having a blast, building my name around Fulton County, Forsyth County. Just recently joined and became a Rotarian over at Linear Forsyth Rotary. And
that's a good Rotary.
It is.
It's a great, well, actually, it's a great Rotary. There's a lot of great people.
A lot of great people.
Yeah.
Best thing, that I've gotten from that is I just started, working with a nonprofit called Mentor Me.
Oh, cool.
And so a lot of people know me. They know the background that I have. And yes, every day, business to business, it's fun. It's great. But to be able to give back to these kids, I mean, it has became pretty much my number one interest right now besides business and family.
That's awesome. I want to get back to that in a second. But before we kind of leave, your background, first of all, thank you for your service. My son's in the military, so it means a lot to me.
Yes, sir.
But you were in Iraq.
Afghanistan.
Or Afghanistan,
correct.
I should say. Yeah, sorry about that. Because we were talking about this before we came on the air. And I want to shout out Alan Najar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I want you to tell me the story that you just told me before we came on the air about Alan Najar, who many people around here know.
It's mind blowing, and it just it shows how small the world can be.
Mm-hmm.
We were at a chairman's event, and with the chamber, and I was there with my wife, and he and I mean, we've seen each other, spoken to each other, and we were just talking military. And come to find out, he pulls out a challenge coin. A lot of military guys, we still carry our challenge coins around.
Mm-hmm.
But he pulls out a challenge coin, and it is from the 1st Marine 9th Division. And that division was actually dismantled after Vietnam. And long story short, that unit was put back together. I actually served. I was served with 1-9 1st Marine 9th Division Walking Dead. It is now dismantled again. But it was just wild. It was mind blowing that this man. I'm here in a chamber meeting with him, and he actually served not just in the Marines, but he was with the same unit.
Wow, that is a small world, and I know Alan's going to be listening to this, so thank you, Alan, and thanks to you.
Semper Fi, Alan.
Yeah, there you go. What lights your fire about ATL? You could be doing a lot of things. I mean, you're a great business development professional. Why ATL Restoration? Why this industry? What lights your fire about it?
Light my fire. That was a good pun right there.
You know what?
Yep.
I didn't even catch that.
That's
You,
it.
yeah, you caught me on that one.
But I'll tell you what, serving, big picture here. Okay. We are here to serve. And that is exactly what we do, whether it's a small job or a massive job. A lot of people, they hear the word mold and they just react so wild, you know, and we look at it every day and it's really not that big of a deal. We take a look at it. We take care of it. Fires, it's massive. And you hear about, oh, my friend had a fire, or, oh my gosh, did you hear about this fire in the news? But when it happens to you, I'm not trying to compare it to cancer, but it's like, you know, if you hear the news yourself, it's probably going to feel a lot different than hearing that, oh, my friend's brother has cancer or something of that nature. It's like, oh my gosh, my house just burned down. This is where my children sleep. My wife sleeps. For us to be able to come in, be the single contractor that you work with, let you understand everything is going to be okay. This is your first time dealing with this. We deal with this stuff weekly. We deal with this stuff all the time. To take their feelings, their emotion. And that's what I take pride in. ATL Restoration, we are there for the customer. Anything that they need, whether it's where are we going to stay? What are we going to, I mean, we walk step by step with us and their insurance company with them.
Right.
But to be able to serve them and to give some sort of comfort, because I mean, they're already in shock. I mean, I've got stories for days of people coming home and their house just being gone, buildings being destroyed, people's place of business. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Yeah. You're dealing with people at one of the, you know, they'll years later when they pass away and they're thinking about the worst moments of their life, this is going to be one of those worst moments, right?
This is one of those days, hands down. I mean, if something like that happened to you, you would never forget that day.
Right.
And the amount of emotion that goes up and down and the worry and the fact that you have somebody standing right there in front of you because you're being called, you're standing there, you're talking to them and you're calm. When they're frantic, it brings them down as well.
And you work with individual homeowners, what have you, but you also work with businesses.
Correct.
Okay. Talk about your work with commercial spaces. Okay.
So what we like to provide with commercial facilities, we do free safety disaster plans. Okay. There is a camera. It's called a Matterport, and it's fantastic. What we do is we Matterport entire facilities, and we do not charge for this. Okay? A lot of companies do. We do not. Out of good faith, if something were to happen, they would definitely remember us. But what these Matterports do, a lot of realtors, stuff of that nature, they'll use them. They'll go in and they'll stage it inside of a room. They'll push a button on an iPad, and it takes a complete picture of every cubic inch in this room. Okay. So let's say something bad does happen. I can tell you how much paint is needed on certain walls, how much baseboard, the size of baseboard, ceiling tile, everything. It's right there in a PDF. Once we finish it up, we submit it over to you. And then it's at your fingertips. If a disaster were to happen, you send it directly over to your insurance company.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. So are you working, well, let's talk about geography. I'm trying to ask three questions at one time.
One at a time, John.
I know, one at a time. Wait, let's talk about geography in terms of just the radius in which you work, or however that works for you. Okay,
so ATL Restoration, we do have a 100-mile radius around the city of Atlanta, okay, with a 2-hour response time. 2-hour response time. That is an apartment complex, a fire, a disaster does happen. We are there on site with somebody there, whether a pipe bust on the 4th floor and it's traveling down, we're extracting water within 2 hours. Okay. 100-mile radius around the city. Now, if it's somebody calls in and we've got a few black dots around a register or something like that, then we'll schedule something to come take a look at it. But our emergency service, we have people on call. We have people staged throughout the state, and they are ready to go, boots on the ground.
Yeah, that's where I was going next, was like, how does this work? Because you've got these folks that have something catastrophic going on, and speed is of the essence. It could happen at any time of the day or night. I mean, how do you get people to that scene in a 100-mile radius of Atlanta, which is as ginormous area, right?
No, it definitely can be. That actually gets us into a little bit of Alabama. But yes, we have satellite areas where we have contacts. Cause I mean, we do a lot of work down south. Our HVAC, I mean, we're licensed in 27 states. And then, that's for like the HVAC decontamination and some stuff we are actually licensed nationwide. So for mold and stuff of that nature, we're a nationwide company.
So you've got a whole network of subcontractors or whatever term you want to use that you can tap on the shoulder and say, hey, something's going on wherever. And they respond on your behalf. Is that the way it works? Or
so that's kind of funny you say that. We're actually doing a remodel job at one of our universities here in the great state of Georgia. And I had I had my senior estimator on site. And he made the comment, because by now I have my all-star team when it comes to mechanical, plumbing, HVAC, electrical, whatever it may be, sheetrock paint, whoever it is. To get all of these contractors in one place in less than 48 hours, he was telling me how it's impossible until I started picking up my phone. When I pick up my phone, I ask somebody to be there. Normally they're there because of the amount of business that we keep sending people.
Right.
And it takes one time for a contractor to, we'll say, aggravate my, we'll say clients. And then, I mean, we're in an area where there's a ton of different contractors.
Right.
So once you get hacked off the list, we just continue to move on until we find who will work with us.
Who fits Chris's idea of a great contractor?
An idea of a great contractor is where, when, and how, and I'm there.
Right.
Those are my people, and I've got them. I love them. They're the backbone of our company. And the fact that I can call these people and just get raves about the companies that we use. I mean, it makes us look good.
Yeah.
And that's important because bottom line, yes, we're here to make money. We're here to build business. I love building relationships. Bottom line, we're here to serve.
So how do people, how do you get that call to begin with from the client? Is it the insurance company that's driving that? Are they the ones that, because they know you, they know your great work, they're the ones that get in contact with you, or is it the customer, or both, or how's that work?
John, that's an excellent question. We work with a lot of insurance agents. Name them. We work with them. And I personally, along with project managers, estimators, they build rapport with the actual agent. And really, for advice for restoration companies out there, it's not the agent, it's the office manager. That's who you want on your team.
There you go. Okay.
But anywho, so it's the office managers, but then, yes, I mean, from different networking, marketing. I mean, last year I learned so much networking. There's people, they called me the networking king. I mean, I was absolutely everywhere. And I realized what makes sense. And you put you get your name out in front of the people who make sense for your company. And between word of mouth, because I have met and still meeting the right people, between that and working closely with our insurance agents, once you do a good job, it's going to continue to build your name.
Yeah, and people don't sit around. I mean, it's like your name is not on the refrigerator. I mean, right? I mean, because people don't necessarily think of, oh, I've got to have my restoration person, in mind, right? I mean, because people don't plan for these emergencies. But
no, you're right. But I do have magnets that I give to so many people. So you'd be surprised on how many refrigerators I'm on.
Okay. So you do the best you can on that. But I guess my point is that you really have to be known by the people who, like, if it's me, like I'm going to call my trusted whatever that gives me that great restoration guy, which is you.
It is, and it goes both ways. So the plumbing contractors, the HVAC contractors, the electrical contractors, they're also referring us as well. And they've already built rapport with other customers, other clients. And it just goes, if I send somebody's name over, if I send my plumber to somebody, they're going to look at an estimate. They're going to know that it's, what's the word I'm looking for? They're going to know that the quote is fair. The work's going to be done right. If not, I would not put that person in my, that person's name would not come out of my mouth.
Okay. They know it's something that's realistic and legitimate.
100%, off the record and off of, not necessarily off the record, but, outside of the business world, I laugh, I joke. I'm a happy person. I really am. I am beyond blessed, on the family side, personal life. I cannot be more thankful, but personal Chris is different than business Chris. Mm-hmm. Whenever it comes time to business, it's different because it is my name. Yeah. It is me building this company. I don't see short term. I'm looking for long term, and I can't say it enough. I'm here to serve, and the more people that I can serve, the happier, the more joy that brings. I will not send a contractor to somebody that's going to give a bad impression. It's just not going to happen.
Great words here from Chris Stewart. He is with ATL Restoration. I'm curious, Chris, about maybe a story or two of the most unusual jobs that you've had. And there have got to be a few.
I'll tell you what. So I'm proud of myself because I just recently hit my 4-year sobriety mark. So
congratulations.
Thank you. But not too long ago, I was in Las Vegas and I get a phone call. We were out there for a convention. I get a phone call at 6 a.m. And normally, years ago, that's what time I'd come back to the hotel from whatever I was doing the night before. But I was actually waking up. This phone call comes in, and it's an insurance agent that I work very close with. And he calls me, and he tells me, I got one for you. I've got a fire. This happened. And I'm talking to him about what it is, and it's a crazy story. Like the homeowner turned into Superman. So the fire... the cause of the fire was his dryer vent. Okay.
Oh, okay.
One of the number one causes of house fires. Clean your dryer vent. It's very simple, very cheap. Give me a call, $150. Okay. But anyway, so this guy's at work. He's a lawyer. He comes home. His 13-year-old daughter is babysitting his 2 twin boys. Mm-hmm. They're 2 years old. Okay. He comes home and his house is in flames.
Oh, dear Lord. This
guy runs in what any father, I believe, would do, runs in without a drop of the beat and gets his children out of this house. Mm-hmm. That job, it's so cool. I never want to be in that position, but it's like, if it was my daughters, I would do the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. And usually people aren't home, whenever we show up, but this guy, he showed up, he saw, and then he reacted. And I thought that was super cool.
Wow.
So yeah, that's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah. Wow. That really takes your breath away.
It does.
What some people have to deal with, and the courage that they have to deal with. And you see that with people. It's not a life or death situation, but just in terms of some of the things that folks have to deal with, that we just marvel at the grace they have in bearing some of the things they have to bear.
Well, we take what we have every day.
Right.
We take it for granted, and then, so back in September, my wife and I, we just bought our dream home. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I was down whenever we purchased the house. I had to go. It was Hurricane Ian. Okay. And so I get these calls from my beautiful, beautiful bride, who I love so much. But I'm getting these calls because we're in this home and she's got to, figure out the move and the decorating and all this other stuff. And I'm down in Florida and I am riding through these streets and just seeing mountains of sheetrock and everybody's belongings. There are all these items just lining the roads with all their personal items. And it's heartbreaking. And the look on people's faces. My children are very blessed, and they had baby dolls and stuff like this, unopened gifts. inside of their closets. So before I went down to Florida, I loaded up my truck with all these Barbie dolls and baby dolls and all this other stuff. And I'm down there looking for little girls. I know it sounds terrible, a grown man. Hey, is there any little girls around here? But I would see them, and I would open up the back of the truck, and their parents would obviously be right there, and I'd let them pick. And they'd be able to pick a Barbie or something like that. And just to see the joy on these children's faces was worth more than any dime, dollar, anything that comes through a check. I mean, just to give back.
That's cool. That's cool. Chris Stewart, folks, with ATL Restoration. Chris, what's the biggest misconception people have about your business?
Oh my gosh, we see it all the time. It's like restoration companies and roofers, and they're always out to take as much as they can in the dollar form. I remember I was down in, I was in San Antonio last year at a conference, and everybody was just bashing restoration companies. And they didn't know that I worked for a restoration company. They thought that I was one of them. I'm not going to say the profession, but they thought I was one of them. And finally, I just had to stand up and just say something. I had to say my piece.
Yeah.
And I felt so good after I did it. But there's good and bad. It doesn't matter, what career path you're in, what race you are, or what. I mean, there's good and bad, everybody. And unfortunately, there are guys out there trying to get that extra $1,000, that extra $10,000. But me personally, my opinion, I'm not worried about that extra $1,000. I'm not worried about that extra $5,000. It's not worth ruining my name or the company's name over longevity. Will be pennies. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And you've obviously proved that in your record. Been around 22 years now.
That is correct.
As a company. So congratulations on that history. And, wow, this, Chris, this has been great. I can't imagine that there aren't some folks that wouldn't want to be in touch. So let's tell them how they can do that.
It's easy, man. You can email me at chris@atlrestoration.com, or you can call me direct at 770-652-5675.
And I think you can tell by his voice, folks, this is a man who answers his own phone. So there you go. Chris Stewart with ATL Restoration. Chris, thanks so much for coming in.
Oh, it's an honor, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, folks, just a quick reminder. If you've got some, we'll call them restoration issues in your back office, you've got some administrative tasks that are weighing you down, some bookkeeping that, you're keeping receipts in a shoebox. That's not the way to do your books. And I think you know that. And if you need some help in that regard, I recommend the great folks at Office Angels. I do business with them myself, and they're terrific. They've got a whole team of angels that have the talent and experience necessary to fly in, get the job done, whatever that job is, and they fly out. And they do it on an ongoing or as needed basis. My recommendation is that you call the chief executive angel there, S.E. Escobedo, 770-442-9246, or you can go to officeangels.us to learn more. And a big thank you from me as host of North Fulton Business Radio. We're up to show, I think this is 625 that we've done, 625 shows over the last almost 7 years. We'll celebrate our 7th year anniversary in May, and we're excited about that. And we're grateful to you, though, our listener. You've made the show work. You've made it great for our guests because you have shared the show and shared it when you have heard someone who's you want others to know about. And I can't imagine that there aren't some of you that want to share this show and hearing Chris and his story. And certainly if you need a restoration guy, share this show. And you've done that consistently. And I want to thank you, our audience, for that, for your great support of North Fulton Business Radio as we seek to be the voice of business in North Fulton. So for my guest, Chris Stewart, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.